It's your host, Dr. Morgan, and I'm super excited for today's episode. I'm going to answer a question that might just be one of the top 3 questions I get asked the most. And the question is, drum roll please, how can I move towards secure attachment? So y'all, this is a broad question. I mean, it's like asking, how can I find a job I love? How can I lose weight? How can I buy a home? There's obviously so many different aspects of this journey that I can't just be like, okay, let me give it to you in a 2-hour podcast episode. But I can give you some ideas about where to start. Okay. So some of you might be new to attachment theory. Some of you might be new to personal development and awareness about your patterns and styles and dating. And I will break this down so that no matter where you're at in your love journey, you will find some value in this episode, even if you're in a relationship. Okay. All right. So how can you move towards secure attachment? And before I break down the steps, I just want to acknowledge that secure attachment is where we all want to hang out. It's where we all want to be, right? When I'm securely attached, I feel close in my relationships. I feel like I'm able to express my needs. I can use effective communication. I'm not spending useless, huge amounts of energy on worrying about my relationship. I feel secure and good and loved in my relationship so that I can then go and shine and put out huge amounts of energy in other areas of my life, right? When you experience difficulties in your relationships, a lot of times it detracts from you living your best life because your energy is being drained from you by the relationship. So you can't then go and show up as your best self in the other areas, which is another reason why I'm so passionate about helping women in this area, because I want you to go and live your most amazing, fulfilled life and kind of say, yeah, the relationship part of my life, I've got that figured out. I'm secure there. I can just go and shine in the other areas. That gets me excited. Okay. So secure attachment, we all want to be there. What do you do when you're moving towards secure attachment? Number 1, develop awareness of your patterns and your attachment styles. So here's the thing. There's, of course, 4 main attachment styles. We have anxious, we have avoidant, we have secure, and we have disorganized. Disorganized being a combination of anxious and avoidant. And what I know is that you can have 2 anxiously attached folks. However, the attachment strategies may look very different. The behaviors, what they do, the way they show up in their relationships may look very different. So what does this mean? It means in order for you to get understanding of where you're at currently, you need to take inventory of your current patterns and behaviors, your specific ones. Maybe for you, it's that, well, every time I sense that there's conflict, I immediately shut down my needs and I focus on my partner and I do whatever I can to avoid the conflict, right? That might be one way of showing up anxiously. Or another anxious strategy, every time there's conflict, I threaten the partner that I'm going to leave unless things are my way, because of that fear of abandonment, if I threaten with that I'm going to leave, then that will keep me safe and they won't leave me, right? If I can threaten that I'd leave them first, then they won't leave me. So you see very different ways of showing up in the same situation, but they both come from anxious attachment, right? And that could also be an avoidantly attached person can also use that strategy, but it comes from a different root. So this is why I'm saying take inventory of your specific patterns and behaviors. And if you want to DM them to me, I'd love to hear and see what you have come up with, because I just nerd out about that stuff. And if you want to share, I could definitely take a look at it. You can DM me at Dr. Morgan Coaching on Instagram. So with that awareness, that is the place from which you can move towards security. So we've developed the awareness of where you're at. What would be the next thing? If you're in the ESL Relationship program, I take you through this. I hold your hand. I give you everything you need. There is a clear pathway that has been tested over and over with the hundreds of women that I've helped using this framework. So you know that you're getting what you need to move towards security. And a lot of times, I'll say 99% of the time, we really can't do this work on our own. You know, we can't see the back of our neck. Take it from somebody who tried. I tried to do it myself, y'all, for years, for a decade. I tried. Didn't go very well. So, that's why joining a program like mine, getting a coach, even therapy in part, getting that outside help is very, very critical. Okay. So that's kind of my caution for the next step, because I wouldn't want you to shortchange yourself and not fully do the transformation and just go on to this next step and kind of Band-Aid fix your issues. No Band-Aids here. Band-Aids don't last. I want you to have real, sustainable, long-term healing that changes your life, right? Okay. But if you were to go forward on your own, what you would want to do next is you would think about, okay, who is the securely attached version of me? This one's so simple, but many of us have never done it. And it's not even our fault, because here's the thing. You may not know that version of you because you've never spent time hanging out in secure attachment, because you never had it modeled for you. You may come from a family background or relationship history where you never had secure attachment modeled for you. How can we do something we've never done? Right? So that's why in the program, I will talk with women about finding those examples, finding those models, and I help them get really clear on developing the securely attached version of themselves. So that's what you want to do. You want to develop that version of you. And then obviously there's ways to, in the moment, as you notice yourself going into your anxious attachment or your avoidant attachment, as you notice, giving yourself compassion and then intentionally deciding to move to the securely attached version of you, to choose one of those behaviors instead, right? This is the golden nuggets right here. If you can take this and do it, do it. If you need help, make sure that you apply to the program. There's limited spots left, but if you're ready and you want the help and you know that, hey, I want the framework that works so I can save myself time and heartache and finally get the relationship that I've always wanted, make sure you go apply before there's no more spots left. All right. And what I will say is this is, obviously, when you go through this framework, you learn about attachment theory, you develop the tools to finally be able to embody a woman or a man who is securely attached, right? You can embody it. What happens then is you need to be able to consistently realign with that version of you. So whether you're having a great day or a crappy day, whether you're in a conflict or not in a conflict, whether you're single or you're in a relationship, there is this important piece of this work that is you making the lifelong commitment to decide to realign with the version 2.0 of yourself. You are no longer going back to 1.0. You are now a 2.0 version of you who is securely attached, and only you can make that decision to realign with that version every single time when you have the choice. Okay. And obviously, compassion. You will never do this perfectly. I don't do it perfectly, and I've studied it and worked with so many people and dedicated my career and my life to really understanding these things. And even myself, I don't do this perfectly, but I have compassion, and I can tell you over the years, I've learned how to spend the majority of my time as a securely attached woman, which is a huge relief because I was totally exhausted being anxiously attached. I can tell you that. All right. I hope this episode was helpful. As always, I am wishing you high self-worth and great relationships. I'll talk with you soon.